Situational awareness addresses the leader's decision-making process. Pilots and air controllers receive most of their informational cues from highly technical sources such as gauges, electronic sensors, and radio communications. Outdoor leaders receive most of their cues from the outdoor environment. Basically, situational awareness is being aware of what is happening around you and understanding what that information means to you now and in the future. The core portion of the original Endsley and Jones model forms the model's essence. The individual and task and environmental factors have been rearranged in the model used today. The heart of the situational awareness model are its three elements. Based on their knowledge, skill, ability, and experience, the outdoor leader observes or perceives what is going on in the outdoor environment. Comprehension of the current situation is what do these elements mean to me now? The meaning is related to your immediate goals. Based on an assessment of the elements in the outdoor environment, the outdoor leader projects the future state and events. The mind makes a mental model, which is a systematic understanding of how something works. It is the mind's roadmap or predetermined script to help determine what cues in the environment are important, their meaning, and their future impact. Your mental model is heavily influenced by the individual factors and the task and environmental factors. Goals may be top-down, such as policies, procedures, and practices, or bottom-up, which are the goals of the individual leader, both immediate and long-term. Task factors focus on what you need to do to complete the goal. The goal is what you want to do or accomplish. In the outdoor environment, the environmental stressors of wind, water, weather, waves, terrain, and plants and animals can affect performance, including situational awareness. Along with the stress of being in a new environment, the workload of paddling can easily lead to fatigue, dehydration, and anxiety. Most of the content for the following case studies was taken from existing resources originally designed for other purposes. Many of the case studies illustrate what Endsley and Jones describe as demons of situational awareness. It is the second day out of base camp. With the canoes gunneled together, the student group is sailing up the Gulf in the Everglades, just offshore toward Broad River, where it should be easy to spot the day marker at its entrance. With the unchanging shoreline on the right and the Gulf on the left, the students and instructors sat back in the canoes, not paying close attention to where they were going. From this description, assess the leader's situational awareness. Does the leader have perception of what is happening around him? Does he know where he is? And is he on course to the campsite? Although the leader could have been more attentive, he was aware of what was happening around him. His mental model was reasonable. His cues indicated that he knew where he was, and he projected that he was on course to the campsite. At this point in their trip, they were on course. If you indicated no, because the leader should have been more attentive, this is okay too. In addition, consider workload. Continued intense concentration can lead to fatigue and errors. This was a period during the day that didn't require extensive concentration. A person's goal determines which mental model to use and which information in the environment becomes important. With a change in goal, the size of the channel and its drainage area become very important to the leader's mental model. Thinking they were going to the right of an island in Broad River, they mistakenly turned right into an inlet that turned into a good-sized channel. With the tide coming in behind them, they paddled roughly a quarter of a mile when the leader suddenly realized that his mental model of where they were was incorrect. The inlet features didn't correspond with the navigational chart. Should they turn around, paddle against the current, and get back on course? Or should the leader change his immediate goal, seek an adventure, and continue down the channel where, according to the chart, it should intersect the Nightmare Trail? It would be an adventure. Either response is okay. For the neophyte outdoor leader with little experience, turning around is probably the most prudent choice. For the more experienced leader seeking an adventure, continuing on would lead to that adventure. Knowledge and experience told the leader that the channel drained a large area, and for this reason, the channel should intersect the Nightmare Trail. Checking distances on the chart and calculating the time to reach it, if they didn't intersect the Nightmare Trail, they would turn around in 45 minutes and ride the tide back out. Endsley and Jones' discussion of misplaced salience emphasizes warning systems. People don't receive all cues equally. Salience highlights some features over others. Flashing lights, the color red, and movement tend to catch people's attention. In outdoor recreation, some cues in the environment capture the attention of the leader more quickly than others. The downed tree captures the group's attention and may give them false cues. They continued down the channel until they came to a downed tree blocking the channel. The students claimed they couldn't go any further and they needed to turn around. The leader noted the size of the drainage channel was still sizable, perception, which meant that it drained a large area, comprehension. Still, the chart indicated that the Nightmare Trail paralleled the coast. He projected that they should intersect it. Also, they hadn't reached the 45-minute time limit. They could slide the canoes over the tree and continue their adventure. In your opinion, is the downed tree a misplaced salience, falsely indicating the end of the channel, their adventure, and the need to turn around? Again, there is no harm in turning around. Standing on the horizontal trunk of the tree, they slid the canoes over the tree trunk and continued their adventure, focusing on the size of the channel, the direction of travel, potential intersection with the Nightmare Trail, and the 45-minute rule. The leader believed his mental picture of the situation was still correct. Not swayed by the misplaced salience, the group continued the pursuit of their immediate goal. They continued their adventure. Mental models tell a person what information or cues are important to evaluate and how to evaluate them. Future projections are based on them. Mental models are strongly influenced by a person's knowledge, experience, training, and abilities. They help to determine preconceptions, expectations, and which cues are relevant to their decision making. Good mental models tend to lead to good decisions, which emphasizes the importance of training, experience, and these case studies. Incomplete or misinterpretation of the information can easily lead to wrong decisions. The students have incomplete information in their mental models. The question is whether the leader's mental model was errant or correct. A little further along the channel, the group came to low-hanging branches. Lifting the branches and ducking underneath them, they paddled into an enclosed canopy of mangroves. The students exclaimed that they were lost and needed to turn around. The leader noticed several mangroves' limbs had been pruned and informed the students that they were on the Nightmare Trail. The students thought he was crazy. In your opinion, are the pruned branches a significant clue that they had found the Nightmare Trail? The students and leader had different mental models and cue recognition. The students saw chaos and projected that they were lost. they didn't recognize the importance of pruned limbs in their mental models. The leader's situational awareness correctly interpreted the meaning of the pruned limbs. Trails are managed. He correctly concluded that they had intersected the nightmare trail. The leader explained the cue of pruned limbs and its significance to the students. With the nightmare trail found and the adventure concluded, they followed the clues of pruned limbs to their campsite, knowing that they were on the right trail. Attention tunneling occurs when the leader becomes fixated on a problem or situation and doesn't monitor other elements in the environment that may become equally important. A medical emergency occurs with a passenger on a commercial rafting trip. The leader and all the guides quickly become focused on the passenger with a medical condition. They comprehend the situation and they project that they need to take action. Unfortunately, they are not focusing on the rest of the group. Several passengers get out of their raft and begin wading in the eddy. One passenger gets caught in the main current and is swept away into the strong current, where she could easily drown. In your opinion, is the leader experiencing attention tunneling? The leader, as well as the other guides, are attention tunneling. When the leader moves to specific supervision, their perception of the elements in their environment become those that they are focused on, in this case, the medical emergency. It is a normal process when moving to specific supervision. For this reason, it is best to delegate general supervision to one or more guides. Fortunately, the victim was wearing a life jacket and self-rescued. Stressors are task and environmental factors that impact situational awareness. Backcountry stressors are generally different from those in the front country. The video Cold, Wet, and Alive is a story of how fatigue and the environmental stressors diminished David's mental and physical capabilities, resulting in hypothermia and the loss of his kayak. It was an early spring day. By late afternoon, David, a kayaker in a group of 5, was becoming hypothermic. He swam several rapids. The cold water had drained his energy resources. He didn't replenish his depleted energy resources with snacks. They were at the lunch stop, the halfway point of their trip, deciding whether to end their trip there or continue on and complete it. In your opinion, is David's ability to make decisions diminished by his hypothermic state? Did this create an errant mental model as well? The environmental stressors have significantly diminished David's situational awareness and his ability to make good decisions. David was focused on himself, on his being cold, on his needs, and not on what the group was doing or its needs. Although David was not the leader of this leaderless group, the leader's leadership ability in this condition is severely hampered. In addition, the factors in the situational awareness model are not mutually exclusive of each other. David had an errant mental model where he misinterpreted his diminished capabilities. Regarding his goal, anything that prevented him from finishing the trip in his mind was considered a failure. Returning to the basic definition, situational awareness is being aware of what is happening around you and understanding what that information means to you now and in the future. Let's look at situational awareness intuitively, step by step. First, perception is being aware of what is happening around you. This author was with a paddling group on a raft-supported trip on a western river. Although I was just another member of the group with no leadership responsibility, I mentally assessed the other paddlers in the group and who was most likely to have problems. Also, I looked for river features and currents that could impact me and others in the group. Usually, I tried to position myself where if someone spilled, I could potentially rescue them. Next, comprehension is understanding what that information means to me now. We were coming upon a named rapids. I noted a strong side current coming in at a right angle to the main current. It looked strong enough to easily catch an edge and flip a kayak. Third, projection is understanding what this information means to me in the future. We had a potential rescue situation. I positioned myself upstream where I could easily initiate a rescue if needed. If the person at risk flipped, I was there to rescue. If they didn't flip, we would all continue on and no one would be aware that I had positioned myself for rescue. The paddler flipped and I quickly initiated a rescue. My situational awareness required at least 3 components. First, I needed the ability to assess paddling skills. I needed to be able to analyze strokes and river reading ability. Second, I needed the ability to assess river features and project their potential impact on me and on others. Third, I needed to have sufficient paddling skills myself to enable me to focus on other paddlers and then to rescue someone if needed. The problem for the neophyte leader is their knowledge, skill, abilities, experience, and training may be insufficient to provide them with the ability to create a correct mental model. This was evident in the corridor of death adventure between the leader and the students. Scenarios and case studies can help. The question is how to provide the inexperience with experience.